I'm pleased to say I'm joined by the Managing Director of Shot Darts, Peter McCormick. Thanks very much for joining us, Peter. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's an exciting few days.
Definitely has been, and there's only one place to start, and that is with the news that broke on Saturday. The secret's out. Michael Smith has signed with Shot Darts. What have these last few days been like since the announcement went out there?
Yeah, it's just been absolutely ballistic, to be honest. I knew we'd get some, ripples through the industry and a lot of excitement, but the messages that I've had from, different players, different businesses, and even just fans from across the world has been amazing. It was a substantially bigger response than I thought. I knew it was big news for the industry, but just the feedback from dart fans around the world of how good they believe the fit's going to be for both parties has been, sort of absolutely blown me away, to be honest. People have seen what we were trying to do and seen how well that'll fit with Michael and his personality and his goals, and there's a pretty neat match there.
Definitely, and we were speaking off air. You're in the Netherlands at the moment as part of the launch of Michael's new darts. How long have you been over here in Europe from New Zealand, and what have you been up to?
Yeah, well, I arrived here on Wednesday last week and had a few days getting everything ready, and then we did a pre-launch with some key customers on Sunday, and then we've had Michael here for Monday and Tuesday with us, with meeting with customers and going through everything, and just discussing with key accounts, and then going live to the global markets from here. Michael had, give or take, 8 or 10 interviews with various media around the world to do. So we did all that from here on Monday and Tuesday, and just before he jumped on a plane to head to Poland. So he literally came straight from the tournament on Sunday straight to here, and then straight from here to Poland. So he's had a big week.
We'll come back to Michael a bit later on, but I was having a look at the history of Shot Darts. It's a company that's been running now for more than 50 years, founded back in 1970. It's run through the McCormick family. Can you share with our listeners the story behind it all?
Yeah, so my dad founded the business in 1970, so we've been going a little way, and in those days, Dad just sort of set out with the idea of, can he be the biggest dart company in New Zealand? In those days, there was 2 dart companies in New Zealand making darts there, and eventually grew from there. Just initially was making paper dart boards, and then broke into making darts and then bristle boards. And then Dad sort of set himself the goal of getting into the Australian market in the early 70s, and then reached further afield through the Pacific, and then went into the US. So it's been a slow progression, really. But, typically because of the company name and the brand name being Puma, was good in some areas, but not so good into the US or Europe, which we never really thought about. The fact that another quite big sporting brand called Puma might not agree with us coming in under that. So hence, 15 years ago, we had to make the decision to rebrand and reset up, and that's when the Shot brand was launched. Out of respect for the legacy and the family, we've kept the business still as Puma Dart Products, but we now trade pretty much everywhere as Shot Darts, and that's the brand that we promote and push. We still manufacture all of our high-end darts in New Zealand. The brass, etc., is made in Asia, but tungsten darts are still machined by ourselves. We do all of our own plating, our own titanium plants and ceramic coating plants, all of those in-house. So, it's pretty special what we do.
And 1997, you come on board as part of the team. 6 years later, 2003, you stepped up as the MD of the company, and that's going to be 20 years this year in that role as the head of the company. Does it feel like it's been 20 years, or has that time flown by?
Well, it's flown by. 20 years, obviously, with the sudden demise of Dad. I was lucky to have the opportunity to be trained by him before I sort of got dropped in it. So it was, the first few years was a bit chaotic, sort of learning the ropes and finding my way through, but I was very lucky. My sister Julie came into the business at the same time and helped me out, and we sort of got things from there. So it's been 20 years has just disappeared, really. It's surprising how quick it goes, and we just keep sort of expanding market by market, and we've just grown a lot more than people realise. I think it's one of the things that people misconceive about us. They look at us and think, just a small dart brand from New Zealand, but people just don't realise how big we've become. We are the market leader in the Southern Hemisphere amongst branded darts. We're the market leader in the US. So we're, a lot bigger in our territories than people give us credit for. So, the next step now of Europe, which we've been in Europe for a number of years, but we're definitely getting stronger and stronger here. And now, especially with Michael on board, moving more into the UK.
Yeah, I was going to say, in terms of the growth of shot darts, I was reading you export darts to more than 70 different countries, and you mentioned about your sister being involved. How big is the team that you've got at Shot working behind the scenes to make it the success that it is?
Yeah, we're a good-sized team. I won't give away the exact number. There's a decent amount of us, and I guess probably the important thing that people think about, we've doubled in the last just over 3 years, and I think we'll probably double again in the next 2, just purely with the growth trajectory we're on and the position we're moving ourselves into the market. So it's very exciting, but for me, everything's about people. It's my go-to. I've got a most amazing team. We've got the core of the staff that have been with us for greater than 10 years, so it's awesome. So the new people have been able to come in and just blend right in with the old, so it makes it a lot of fun. We definitely enjoy what we do. We're very privileged to work in a fun industry, and we have fun doing what we do.
Good to hear. And being in New Zealand, working with people from around the world, how challenging is that, juggling the different time zones? There's quite a time difference between us here in the UK and New Zealand. Is that tricky to work with at times?
Yeah, that's definitely a challenge. I mean, there's my core of the sales team works some pretty unusual hours, and I'm the same. That's not unusual to get up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning to make a call or do a Zoom meeting. That's just the reality, and you spend a lot of time in airplanes and a lot of time travelling. I typically spend 3 months a year offshore. My sales guys much the same, so we're out and about, which is great. It's nice and positive to get to see different people around the world and enjoy the different cultures, but by the same token, you spend a bit of time away from your family as well. So there's pluses and minuses.
Definitely. Well, getting back to the players that you've got on the books at Shot, even before Michael, it's a growing stable of players: Devon Peterson, Roby John Rodriguez, Raymond Smith, to name a few. What's it been like working with the pros and seeing the team grow in that aspect as well?
Yeah, it's been an interesting one for us, given, with the way we've grown with our own, style and craftsmanship and doing our more themed ranges. It's been quite different. Our development's been in-house, and working with, a few different people just to get our designers right and imagery right. Whereas going into the players section, it's quite unique, because you definitely got to really design the dart for the player first and foremost and get that right, and then have a look at it and see what we can do to add some of our unique shot flair to it. So it's definitely a balance, but with being a family business, I was taken to dart tournaments since I was 4 or 5 years old, so I'm pretty used to how it works and knowing your way around. And dart players are great. I mean, they're really happy to share with you what they want on their dart and how it works, and I haven't come across a player yet that doesn't really know what they're looking for, and you can just, as long as you listen and just tweak each one. And the good thing is, because we do everything in-house, that, if someone wants a sample done, well, I literally walk out and have a chat to the guys on the machines and we start making it. So it's nice and easy, and, the process through with Michael Smith was, we just get each part of the dart finished exactly what is wanted, go to the next part, and we just worked our way through. And yes, it was a process, but as long as you work with them and you listen and you just design to exactly what they need, what they're looking for and what they need, it sort of pops out the other end.
Well, let's circle back to Michael Smith, and we saw at the weekend he posted shortly after the announcement on Twitter, it was 2 years ago, that he was sent a proposal by his manager from you guys at Shot. It was a relationship which has grown since then. So how does something like this come together over a long period like that, signing one of the world's top players?
Yes, it was one of those things. We sort of had this, we put a proposal to him and said, let's have a chat about it, and we sort of jumped on for what was planned to be a short Zoom, and I think we ended up talking for an hour and a half, and and most of it, we just chatted about life. And we just sort of worked out pretty quick that it was going to be a really good fit between us. That, what Michael was looking for goals and what we were looking for gelled together, and the more we chatted, the more we got on. And I talk to him every day, and that's just the relationship we have, and it's just amazing. So we communicate, and when you're chatting with someone every day, you work out pretty quick what they're looking for and what their needs are, and it just sort of flowed from there. So it's been even though I say it's basically 2 years, but the time has just disappeared. It was, sort of 3 months ago when we sort of looked at each other and thought, geez, we better start getting all the stuff made. The time is cranking on. So the guys at the factory have been running the best part of, 6.5 days and long hours for the last 3 months to get everything in place and stock ready for launch. So it's been a busy time for us all in New Zealand, but immensely rewarding and a heck of a lot of fun as well.
Called it a dream come true to have Michael at Shot. His stature in the game, world number one, world champion. It's a massive coup for Shot. What does it mean for the company to have him on board?
Oh, well, it is, and the word is just massive for us. As I say, we've done so well with doing things our way and with our themed ranges, but for us to go to that next level, we really did need to get to that top 10 player, and that's what we sort of targeted. So let's try and get a top 10 player, and all of a sudden, we managed to strike gold to a certain degree. That we signed Michael, then all of a sudden he's world number one and the champion. So it's just been a perfect storm for us, and everything's fallen in place, which is really going to allow us to expand more, especially into Europe, and in the UK, where player-based darts are so important. It's such a key element that it's just going to really open those doors for us and allow us to grow even more.
Yeah, it's good timing, and with social media these days, it's hard to keep these announcements under wraps. Did you ever think you'd be able to make it a surprise for everyone, or would that have been wishful thinking? And I guess for you guys, how do you keep quiet yourselves when I'm sure it's an announcement that you want to tell everyone about?
Yeah, it is, and exactly. And we just did our best to keep it as quiet as we could. That's the professional way you do things, and obviously you've got to respect his existing sponsor and those sorts of things. So we did our best to keep it under wraps, but by the time you start getting packaging printed and samples made and different things, it's very hard to keep it out. And at the end of the day, the dart industry is pretty small. And I think everybody pretty much knows each other, and obviously people talk. So we did our best to keep it under wraps, and I know we managed to surprise a few people, but I know there were a few in the industry that knew as well.
And the launch of Michael's range of darts, that's going to be on July 13th, so Thursday next week for our listeners. I assume you were following his first tournament with the new darts at the weekend, seeing him throw 101, 111 averages in his first 2 games. You can't ask for a better advertisement than that, can you?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to lie and say I wasn't nervous, because I was. I was just sitting there, and I know Michael had been practicing with them, but not a massive amount, given he's had so many tournaments on and so many big events on. He really couldn't sort of put away his current darts, so it was really only full time with him for basically a week before he could get going. So it was nerve-wracking, but he seemed to find the doubles so well in that first game, and I took a big sigh of relief. I thought, okay, it's all good. And then the average was great in the next match. So no, we're very pleased with it all.
Well, let's finish up lastly back with Shot Darts as a company overall. You've got the world number one signed up, so what's next? Are there any other targets you've got in mind as a company for the next few years, or even long term beyond that?
Yeah, look, the main thing for us is that we definitely are expanding into the more of the European now and UK markets. That's our goals for the next little bit. We'll just focus and keep growing in these markets and expand and really work closely with Michael. Use his ranges to open some doors that haven't been open to us. So once we get those open, we'll get more products into those, and we'll just keep growing. But for us, we'll just keep doing our journey, and we're pretty grassroots people, and we just sort of keep head down, butt up, and we just get the job done, and we just enjoy what we're doing. So we'll just keep doing what we do, and as long as we do that and put out great products and listen to dart players as to what they need, our products will still keep disappearing off the shelves. That works for everybody.
Well, we look forward to following what happens next, Peter, and congratulations on the signing of Michael Smith, and appreciate you taking the time, and we wish you all the best for what else is to come this year as well.
No, awesome, and happy to chat any time. It's just truly an exciting event for us, and we're going to do the right thing and make sure we make everybody proud of what we do.